Laurier-Turgeon, je suis le directeur de l'Institut du patrimoine culturel de l'Université Laval et euh, bon, nous participons, nous collaborons à cette série de conférences. J'aimerais bon, vous souhaiter tous la bienvenue. Je vois qu'il y a un bon nombre de participants. C'est encourageant d'un peu partout et même de Roumanie. Alors, bienvenue aussi à nos collègues et amis roumains qui se joignent à nous. Je voulais juste dire un petit mot de bienvenue pour remercier Daniela Moisa d'avoir organisé cette série de conférences de l'IPAC cet automne, cet hiver, pardon. Nous avons à chaque trimestre une série de conférences sur une thématique liée au patrimoine. Et puis, Daniela a proposé là, de faire la série cet hiver sur le patrimoine bâti et sur un sujet bien intéressant qui est lié aux pratiques de restauration, de réparation, de restauration des bâtiments. On est vraiment très heureux d'accueillir cette série parce que on a eu des séries sur les musées, sur le patrimoine immatériel, sur toutes sortes de patrimoine religieux, etc. Mais mais pas sur le patrimoine bâti. Alors, on est très content là, que Daniela ait pris cette initiative et qui va contribuer à notre réflexion, élargir nos réflexions sur le patrimoine à travers le patrimoine bâti. Alors, il y a quatre conférences. Aujourd'hui, nous avons la première. Alors, je vais, sans plus tarder, passer la parole à Daniela, qui fera les présentations du séminaire et aussi de la conférencière d'aujourd'hui. Encore un grand merci, Daniela. On est vraiment très content de vous accueillir et de vous avoir avec nous là dans cette série de conférences.
Merci beaucoup Laurier pour l'introduction et merci d'avoir donné cette chance à l'IPAC, surtout donner cette chance de mettre à l'affiche cette problématique sur le patrimoine bâti, mais abordé sous l'angle de ce qu'on appelle patrimoine culturel immatériel, tous les pratiques, les savoir-faire liés à la réparation, entretien, valorisation du patrimoine bâti. Je pense que c'est un angle. La question de la réparation en général est une problématique très importante actuellement et surtout si on comprend par la réparation non seulement l'acte technique, le métier de réparer la maison, mais aussi on va au-delà de cet acte mécanique pour voir sa fonction de guérison et de renforcement de liens sociaux, liens à l'individu, au soi et puis à l'environnement. On voit la portée de patrimoine immatériel quand on parle de patrimoine bâti. Donc voilà, je tiens à dire que cette série de conférences qui est réunie sous le nom de réparer le patrimoine pour mieux habiter le monde, donc, est organisé en collaboration avec vraiment IPAC, qui est l'Institut du patrimoine culturel de l'Université Laval, le Centre de recherche culture, art et société. Je suis contente de voir Célia ici présente. Et avec le groupe de recherche interdisciplinaire sur le développement régional de l'Est du Québec, GRIDEQ, Lucas. Et puis, toutes ces conférences-là sont accueillies dans le cours que je donne au premier cycle, les chanceux qui sont ici présents, sur habiter au XXIe siècle, enjeux socio-territoriaux et environnementaux. Et je suis très heureuse d'ouvrir la série de 4 conférences avec celle de Carmen Chasovschi, qui est professeure à l'Université Ștefan Mare de Suceava, et qui est également directrice du Centre de recherche de compétences en tourisme. Elle est une experte en études touristiques, mais aussi elle travaille avec moi sur les questions du patrimoine bâti. Elle est venue d'ailleurs il y a 2-3 ans, je me souviens plus, au Québec pour voir un peu c'est quoi le patrimoine bâti ici. Puis en fait, ce qu'on a découvert grâce à un projet qu'on mène en comparaison entre Roumanie et Québec est qu'il y a beaucoup de similitudes entre les deux régions. Donc, je me réjouis recevoir Carmen qui aujourd'hui fera une présentation intitulée Reconstruction du patrimoine de la restauration matérielle à la guérison communautaire. Donc Carmen, tu as la parole.
Merci beaucoup, professeur Turgeon. Merci beaucoup, Daniela, pour la présentation, pour l'introduction. Je n'ai pas du courage de faire la présentation en français. J'ai promis que la prochaine présentation, je vais essayer de le faire en français, mais maintenant, je veux changer à prendre la présentation en anglais. I suppose that the code switching, it won't, I don't know, generate a lot of problems for me. It is a pleasure to be here, and thank you very much for this beautiful cooperation, because in the past years, the close cooperation with Canada took over some other cooperations with European countries and with experts from this side of the world. But I'm very happy because I found friends there and quite important specialists in the field of vernacular heritage and heritage in general. So I must say hello to Daniela, to Adam, the student that I see in the room. Hi, Adam. And it is a pleasure to open this presentation. I will just share the screen in a moment, because just to bring much more coherence in the presentation, I just prepared the PowerPoint, and please let me share the screen with you. I need only one moment. So the topic of the presentation will share with you actually the experience that we had in the area of heritage preservation here in Romania, because despite the fact that I'm coming from an academic side, I worked a lot in technical cooperation agencies, especially for the German agency GIZ. It is a kind of equivalent of USAID. And I was very much involved with hands-on activities in the preservation of heritage. So finishing my work in Transylvania, another corner of Romania, I started to ask myself the question: what should I do, and what I could do to contribute to the preservation of the heritage here in northern side of Romania. So the presentation will focus more on our actions, what we have done until now, but as well will open the room for discussions, for some open questions and some challenges that we faced here in the area. Okay, so I will start to say a few words about me, but Daniela already mentioned. So I am a tourism graduate, and I have worked a long time back in 2007 in several areas in Romania in heritage preservation projects. So for this reason, I have acted here in my area more as a volunteer for heritage preservation, as a scientific or researcher. And I would like to present myself like a heritage preservation volunteer, more than an academic, so to say. Mm-hmm. But of course that I'm trying to combine as well the research side and the literature and the current topics in research with what we are doing on the field. I just included this Don Quixote drawing or image because sometimes I think that not only me, but as well the other colleagues involved in heritage preservation, we are feeling more as a Don Quixote, trying to fight with some shadows and trying to conquer the world. But actually it's not so simple as it seems, because we are facing a lot of, of evil forces and challenges. But this is, on one side, is motivating us to keep working and to push forward. So I came out with this title, Why? Reparation of Heritage, due to the situation that we faced here in Bucovina, because working with heritage, we are just entering in several communities, and in these communities, the owners of the heritage are the people, is the community. we as outsiders, sometimes we are acting as agents of change, agents of bringing some improvements or intending to bring improvements. But actually on the last hand, the community and the owners of the heritage have the most important word to say. So for this reason, working in the past already 15 years in heritage preservation, I think that to bring it to discussion, how can we heal the community is very, very important. So it's true that I presented only myself, but as well in the room under the name Carmen Chasovschi, you will find 3 persons enrolled under this name, because I share with them the link, the registration link, should be Pascal Garnier, a very good friend of mine, because when I'm speaking about me working for heritage, is actually speaking about us. We are around a bunch of friends that are united by the same interest for heritage preservation and by a shared understanding upon heritage. So the points of my intervention will be on one hand to bring into discussion this holistic framework about heritage, that when we are entering the communities, we should act as healers for the community, or to try to make them realize why it's important and how, and to plan actions for the community and for the heritage owners to be involved in the preservation. Meaning participatory governments, meaning participatory planning, meaning to try to organize actions and activities within the community. I will add a description of what we have done in the past 15 years, bringing some examples of how we have grown like organizations working together, and to conclude that we can bring a kind of comparison between how can we heal a person and how we could heal a community, because I think that we can develop perhaps a parallel between these 2 approaches. Of course, that it came in my mind working for this presentation and accepting the challenge of Daniela to participate today in this round. I just reflected that all what we have done in the last years, it was not something very well planned before. There were projects that started in the beginning. We intended just to make an inventory of the old traditional houses, because I'll explain that we have negative interference in cultural landscape. But slowly we have identified a lot of additional needs. So we have responded to these needs, and like this, we just jumped in several additional projects growing year after year. And like this, we have realized that all this bunch of projects is very important to realize that they should actually be better perhaps puzzled and put in the same on the same table, and to try to bring a structure in what we are doing. And in this structure, we must involve the communities. How we have realized this? We have realized this working directly in several villages, and actually seeing that we as outsider or people coming from different tourism side, from the university, we are working there, and the people in the community are just watching, okay? Watching, staying as outsider, taking a look what we are doing, making fun of us in some moments. Okay, what there I know boys and girls from the city are doing in our village or in our community. And like this, you have realized indeed that repairing heritage is about trying to reconnect with the community and trying to repair some relations between the people in the community, but the relation of the community with their heritage. Because the new generation, they don't inherited the old stories, and they are not perceiving perhaps the value of the heritage like something very important for their community, for their history. So it is a kind of reclamation of their own memory and recuperation of their own history. We are quite happy to find that some studies like Harrison, and I'll bring into discussion some other journals and scientific papers. They are bringing as well into discussion that in order to understand heritage, we should make a step forward and to perceive the heritage not only as a collection of material artifacts, but as well we should perceive this dynamic network of social relations that is accompanying, assisting the built heritage, the material heritage. And I like to thank to Daniela, because Daniela helped us in this approach, coming from the immaterial heritage. I was a big fan of built heritage, cultural landscape, but she always, together with the students that visited us, always brought into discussion how important this relation is between communities and heritage, and how important the immaterial heritage is. I mean, the stories behind the building, the stories behind, the constructions, the center of a village, and so on. So like this, we just came up to realize that if we want to heal the heritage, we must go back to the people living in the communities, and we must make them friends and our companions in working for the heritage. And we'll see that we have done this somehow in an intuitive way, so without planning ahead. But the future, and I will conclude the presentation by bringing some open questions into discussion. How can we improve this? How can we involve better the communities in repairing the heritage, but as well in reconstructing the relation of the heritage and of with the community? I think that it is needed, there needed some clarification in the beginning about our area. We are placed in Romania, in the eastern side of Europe, and here is Bucovina. Bucovina is not the name of the administrative unit, it is the name of the historic province of Bucovina. And we have like a unique selling proposal for our area. Like other destinations, here are some other important tourism destinations in Romania, like Maramureș. Here is Transylvania, perhaps it's much more well-known worldwide due to the Dracula story. But the most important Romanian destination, they have as unique selling proposal the culture, the rural culture, the traditional culture, and as well the heritage. And we have three areas like Maramureș, Transylvania, Bucovina, with a bunch of important UNESCO protected monuments. And of course, that for tourists, these UNESCO protected monuments, and here it is an example from Bucovina, it is the Voronezh Monastery. It is a monastery that it is like all the other 8 monasteries and churches in Bucovina that are placed under UNESCO protection. They are covered with external frescoes, and the colors, despite the age of these monuments, they are still vivid, and the iconography and the beauty of these monuments are just the most important reason for the tourists to come and to visit Bucovina. But when we are entering in a region as tourists, we are just not, dropped down in the courtyard of a monument, of an UNESCO monument. We are going through the landscape. We are going through the spaces and through villages. And like this, the travel itself is a part of the tourism experience. So for this reason, we have started to ask ourselves, okay, if we want to develop tourism in our area, it's not necessary or is not enough to protect these UNESCO monasteries, it is important to preserve as well the cultural landscape. Because after the revolution, after this switch from the communism administration to the open democratic organization of the society, a lot of people on the countryside, they wanted to modernize their houses over the night. And like these important changes occurred in the landscape. So the rural landscape of Bucovina, we are arguing and advocating that it is a part of the tourism experience and a part of the heritage, the vernacular architecture of Bucovina. So we can find mainly two types of maisons anciennes, of old houses in Bucovina. The four-roof house, the houses are made from wood. In the first picture on the left side, we can see that the colors are quite neutral, white and black. The roof is made as well from wood. Or as a later evolution, the houses were very nice, decorated with geographic solar patterns and with several decorations. So these two types, mainly the two types of houses, can be found in Bucovina, and we are associating this typology with the vernacular architecture and with vernacular heritage of Bucovina. Because in our project we were not focused on the major cultural monuments like UNESCO, but on this vernacular architecture, and our aim, it was to preserve the harmony of the cultural landscape. Here is another example of a traditional house that we can find in one of the villages of Bucovina. So we concluded that making an inventory of the important houses of Bucovina, we just realized that in almost all the situations where the houses were preserved, the owners of the house told us with great pride about the house. And they told us what the house represents for them, but as well for their families. And we have encountered this philosophy since the beginning of our activities back in 2011. And more than that, we can totally agree with Harrison that heritage is not a thing, but a set of relations of the people with their houses, relation within the community. So if something is happening with the heritage in one village, for sure we have in the background some relations that were damaged, relation of the people with their identity as villagers, relation with the inhabitants, with, I don't know, with their current status, with the modernization pressures, and so on. So preserving the heritage means a lot to try to find the way and the proper channels to communicate with the community. And of course, we played a lot the card of example, of the positive example, entering in the community and starting to rebuild the house or to repair some monuments in a cemetery. We try to bring our positive example, I don't know, believing that the people will follow our example, and they will follow as well our path. On one side, it happened like this, but you know, when it is a quite difficult autoimmune, this is a new idea, I must write it down. So when it is an autoimmune disease to a person, we need a lot of time for this person to cure. And I think that this is the story of the heritage. If the heritage is damaged, it is like an autoimmune disease, because the heritage, it was damaged by the owners, by the people living there in the communities. And in order to restore their mentality and their perception, we need a lot of time. For example, we started to work in communities in Katika, one village, and I'll bring some examples in the coming slides. We started to work in 2017, and first now, after 8 years, we can say that we have created a momentum, and that the people there in the community, they are following our example, and they are coming closer to us. It's not an ideal situation, but still they are coming closer to us. And on one hand, it is due our activities there related to the preservation of the heritage. The current, as I told you already, that the current situation in Bucovina was very much affected by a lot of phenomena. We had a lot of pull factors for changes in the cultural landscape and heritage preservation. On one hand, it was the pressure for modernization. A lot of people are working abroad, saving money in much more developed countries like France, Spain, Italy, and coming back. They wanted just to invest, to have their own house. It is a reason to be proud, it is a status and a symbol for them in their communities. So seeing all these changes that occurred in the landscape, we started to make an inventory with all remain traditional houses. So that started in 2011. Until 2018, we had an inventory with 400 traditional houses. And until 2022, we had a total of 800 houses documented with photographies, and as well with details about the history of the house owners and their past histories. Of course, that working through the landscape, actually, we did identify the very negative and aggressive intrusions in the cultural landscape. And we have analyzed the causality, why these important changes occurred. For example, this is a tourism investment very close to one of the UNESCO monuments, Voronezh Monastery. Now I present quite, I don't know, in a hurry, some slides just to bring some impressions about the changes that we found in the landscape and why we are advocating for the preservation of the cultural landscape. So this is a tourism investment very near to the Voronezh Monastery. Here we can see some other changes in the public landscape that as well should be improved, because they are generating confusion for the visitors, for the tourists, and as well for the people living there in the communities. Some other changes, because the main changes in the landscape are with strange forms, strong colors, quite impressive volumes in the houses, because the typical house, it is only with one floor and with the roof, but we see 2 or 3 floors to the new houses with some strange, unusual forms. Because we have identified as well proofs for this process of culturalization, because the people working in foreign countries, they are bringing the models with them. So we have a phenomena that were intensively documented by anthropologists here in Romania, the phenomena called Italian house. A lot of people working in Italy, they have started to build a house, and they are giving instructions to the workers by phone. So house by phone or Italian houses, because they just explaining that they are bringing some models from Italy or from some other foreign countries. Of course, the models, they are changed, adjusted, adapted, but they are representing strong intrusions in the landscape. I've mentioned strong colors. Here is another example of a house found in the landscape under the direction to Humor, a monastery as well, a UNESCO protected monument. Here on the left side, we have a traditional wooden house from Bucovina with quite harmonic colors and shapes and decoration. And here a new gray house with modern materials, with different type of message, and just, I know, planting this in the landscape can be quite strange and can generate, I don't know, architectural kitsch, so to say. Of course, that unfortunately the story is still going on, because in the last year in our field research we still found developments, further developments in the villages and on the countryside. Okay, what we have done, because I mentioned at the beginning that we have grow organically. We have started this inventory, but on working and making step by step, we have realized that there are some other needs, and to try to respond to these needs. And our activity just increased year by year with several activities. And when I'm saying we, is about the University Ștefan cel Mare of Suceava. It is Pascal Garnier with an association from Putna village. It is Magda Grădinaru with another association called Bucovina. It is the village museum from Suceava, the branch of the architects in Suceava. So we have created a kind of network of organization aiming to preserve and to be involved in the preservation of the heritage. So I have started in 2011 with this inventory of traditional houses. Then we have realized that we need some guidelines or some recommendations, and we have created in 2013 a brochure and a leaflet. And all these materials there can be found online. They're open sources, and we are just sending out to the communities and in the villages. Producing this brochure, the Bucovina village as a tourism destination in 2013, we have produced 10,000 pieces together with leaflets, and have distributed to all the maries, all the municipalities in rural area, have distributed to the house owners, and we tried to make a kind of education campaign in the communities, in the rural side. Why a traditional house is important? Why is important to preserve? Why is important for the sustainable development of the village and of the community? Then we approach a different type. So here we had two categories of stakeholders. On one hand, the owners of the houses and the municipalities, and as well the associations in the rural area. Then we have approached a different type of stakeholders, the children, because the children, they are the future owners of the houses. And we have initiated a project that was implemented several years until the COVID pandemic. We started in 2014, the village in the park. So we have created workshops having a subject, the traditional house and the traditional architecture, and the students have organized workshops for the children in the university park. Then in 2015, we have started to create thematic trails for the people, for the tourists, to discover the heritage in the village. The thematic trail, I will come back later because I have some pictures. It is a trail for a kind of thematic interpretation of the main heritage points in the village. Then Bucovina Brunch, we have organized gastronomic events in the village. We have asked the people from the village to cook for us, and we have organized there some volunteer works, restoration, and hands-on interventions. There is a picture from the Cacica cemetery, a cemetery with old colonists. They came from all the corners of the Austrian Empire to work in the salt mine, and we just restored the cemetery, the important monuments there. But in the coming years, because it is a continuum event, we have worked in some other important heritage fields. Then the summer schools, we started in 2008 in the summer school People and Salt, and one important or two important milestones were represented by the workshops coordinated by Professor Moisa, when we have brought indeed the people from the village in the middle of us, in the middle of the students, to be part of these installations and to experience their history directly there on the field. Then in 2018, we have created a research project, and we have developed architectural plans We can see here an example, because the people, when we were on the field, they told us, okay, I would like to restore or to renovate the old house, but I don't have the plans or ideas or the right I don't know, methods or plans. And we have created the support of architects free of charge restoration modernization plans for the old houses, and have distributed this to the city halls just to let them know that they can take a plan and just try to make a good modernization and a good extension of the existing house. Then we have we reflected that we should perhaps make a kind of recognition to the people involved in a heritage preservation. And we have started a category of prizes called the People of the Heritage. Each year, we are just nominating the people that have contributed to the salvagardation of the heritage, and we are giving them a certification and a recognition certificate for this category, People of the Heritage. And we trying to create to work with symbols and with celebrations to make them realize how important their work is. In 2019, we started the house relocation workshop, and here I have Pascal Garnier, because Pascal bought an old house found by our students, and he coordinated in 3 or 4 years the restoration of this house. And I will invite in a few minutes Pascal just to tell us in French at this time his impression, how he felt the community, if the community was involved, was open from the beginning, how it was, I know, his connection with community, he as an outsider at the beginning. We continued the workshops and the summer schools. Because we intend to create 2 heritage centers for the interpretation of the heritage, but as well as workshops to prepare the future specialists in heritage, the handicraft specialists as well. So we continue each year with workshops and summer school, and we are working now to this heritage center called Past to Future in Kajica, because this house relocated from under the coordination of Pascal here, and with the support of the volunteers of the local community, became a very nice museum and interpretation center for heritage. Now I have only some pictures. I'll continue only for a few minutes, some examples with our activities. Here it is a leaflet that was distributed in the communities, do's and don'ts, related to the preservation of the vernacular architecture and the new constructions, what to avoid in the new constructions. Then some pictures with the relocation of the traditional house in Putna. It was relocated with the support of volunteers in another position, just behind this small house in the left, in the courtyard of the Bucovina Museum. Here we have digitized the inventory of the houses, and we have an interactive map, and each person can enter the map and add his own traditional house by uploading a picture and a description of the house. Here again, I must mention that I had the example of a Canadian research project that I have used as a best practice, and I am very grateful that I have identified this project with the support of Professor Moisa again. Then we have walked through the villages. I mean, we have realized that if these architectural plans are remaining hidden somewhere in the office, we won't provide any change. So for this reason, we just organized a caravan through 10 villages, and we just go there in the court of the church and spoke with the people, explained them what is our aim, why the heritage is important. And we created a kind of consultancy body with the support of some other NGOs in the rural side. We developed interpretation, explanations for better understanding the heritage. Here's some pictures from the village in the park. And we have created as well some explanation that we have distributed in the schools and in the city halls, in the municipalities, with explanations for the villagers. How should they restore the house and how can they preserve the heritage. Here are some pictures from what we have done in Cacica, the pilot village that we have chosen for rural regeneration project. Have made architectural plans of the old buildings from the salt mine. Here it is a picture with this interpretation trail that is going from the Basilica Minor and has 5 stops. Each stop brings into discussion and explains a different type of value and asset of the village. And here's some pictures from the educational center past to future. Here it is just an overview, and it is one of my last slides with all the project that we would like to promote this year as well. They are in Romanian. I'll translate for you. So it is a roof for Bucovina. We are just collecting money to change and to restore the traditional wooden roofs for Bucovina. My Beautiful Village, another project that aimed to print instructions and visual explanations for the villagers. How can they restore the houses? Digital twin, we would like to scan old houses from Bucovina and to place a QR code on the fences outdoor, just to let the visitors and the peasants to have a look about the structure of the house. Bucovina Brunch will continue. Bucovina Brunch as a gastronomic and heritage event. Heritage people, we have the jury will select the list for this year until the end of the month. Bucovina villages, so we collect all the resources on the webpage, on the one webpage called Bucovina Villages, and as well with the support of a Canadian research project, we would like to continue to make a database with all the house workers specialized in house constructions in Bucovina, and to try to promote them as well. So our question is that was open actually by this occasion, by this presentation. How does a body or a system heal? So a healing body, actually, it is a self-organizing system. So when it is injured, it recognizes the damage because we have some signs that we are ill. It is the same with the communities, because when the community must heal, we must acknowledge the wounds. And the wounds in this situation can be the last memories, damaged buildings, and we must rebuild trust and participation, and we must recognize people with each other. I mean, to bring the people together and to try to reconnect them with the community, with the soul of the community, because we have this individualism now brought by Facebook, by television. The people are not spending any more time together, but they are spending time more with the technology. So to invite them to reconnect with them, and to reconnect as well with the heritage and with what they have important in their community. I have tried to make a kind of parallel about community healing and biological healing phase, but these are just some rough ideas, and I like to continue this research. I try to look much deeper in this and to try to find some other patterns that perhaps you can discuss. Thank you very much. I know that the time is very limited, so I don't want to stay longer, because if you agree, I like to invite Pascal Garnier at the end of the presentation to ask him some grass questions, because he worked directly with the community. And Daniela, if you allow us as a moderator, or Marie-Christine Lambert-Perrault, if you agree to this, if you have additional 5 minutes to invite Pascal Garnier to share with us some impressions about what he have felt about the community involvement there in Putna. Thank you very much for your attention, and if you agree, it will be a pleasure to ask Pascal to say some words.
Et merci beaucoup. Et je donne la parole à Pascal Garnier, que j'ai connu, puis Adam le connaît aussi, les étudiants qui sont allés en Roumanie à l'école d'été l'ont connu. Puis voilà, Pascal, je te donne la parole. Je suis contente de t'avoir avec nous.
Merci Daniela. Bonjour à tous. Je vais répondre directement peut-être à la question de Carmen, donc l'aspect spécifique lié à comment la communauté réagit par rapport à ce type de projet, et particulièrement bien sûr le projet que nous avons mené sur Putna. Mais d'abord, je voudrais replacer un petit peu dans un contexte un petit peu plus large. Il faut savoir bien sûr que dans les 3-4 dernières générations, les habitants, notamment les habitants des communes rurales, ont rarement eu l'occasion de pouvoir prendre des décisions sur leur propre avenir, y compris au niveau urbanistique. Et l'idée également de participation, de bénévolat, par exemple, n'a jamais été quelque chose qui a été, ni pendant la période communiste, ni après la chute du communisme, quelque chose qui a fait partie vraiment du fonctionnement des communautés. Donc notre idée, quand on a lancé ce projet de déplacer, de restaurer une maison ancienne, était basée vraiment sur l'idée qu'il y aurait peut-être un intérêt individuel de certains habitants du village, mais également aussi de personnes qui se trouvaient dans les environs. Et à notre grand étonnement, une réponse assez positive est arrivée. Ce sont plus de 200 personnes qui sont venues nous aider sur à peu près 8 chantiers qui ont commencé par le démontage de la maison et jusqu'aux dernières opérations. Donc, on a vraiment eu une surprise assez importante de voir des personnes qui n'avaient pas manifesté jusque-là leur intérêt pour ce type de projet-là venir participer. Mais il faut savoir également que cette idée d'entraide existait auparavant. En roumain, on appelle ça clacă, et c'était une manière que la communauté avait d'aider chaque famille du village à commencer dans la vie en ayant soit un apport matériel, ou soit en tant qu'aide humaine, participation à un chantier pour, par exemple, faire le torchis d'une maison ou quelquefois simplement d'une pièce. Donc, il y avait déjà cette idée d'entraide, mais qui, avec le temps, avait commencé à disparaître. Et on a senti vraiment que les gens avaient besoin de recréer ce lien. Ce qu'ils avaient connu, par exemple, je sais que les derniers moments, dernières années, lorsque ces chantiers d'entraide existaient, c'était encore dans les années 1997, 1998. On avait fait une petite enquête dans le village. Donc, ça faisait à peu près plus de 20 ans qu'il n'y avait pas eu de choses de ce type-là. Mais beaucoup de personnes qui avaient cinquantaine d'années, on va dire, 45-50 ans, avaient participé eux-mêmes à ce type de chantier-là. Ils étaient très heureux que l'on puisse recréer à cette occasion ce moment où en même temps on vient travailler, et en même temps il y a ce côté convivial, puisque ça se terminait toujours par des fêtes euh, qui permettaient de souder comme ça cette communauté. Et donc ils étaient très, très heureux de participer, sachant que ces chantiers qui étaient organisés, tout le monde y participait, des enfants jusqu'aux grands-parents. Donc c'était vraiment un lien social très fort, intergénérationnel. Et donc c'est vraiment ce qu'on a voulu recréer. Et on a eu également, lors des différents chantiers que nous avons organisés, des enfants à partir de 7, 8 ans, jusqu'à des personnes qui avaient des fois 70 ans et plus. Certains qui faisaient ça pour la première fois, d'autres qui, comme je le disais, avaient déjà une expérience dans le domaine. Et c'est très intéressant de voir cette transmission des savoir-faire. Ça, c'était aussi un autre objectif de notre projet. C'est nous d'apprendre toutes ces techniques. Moi, personnellement, je n'avais jamais fait ce type de projet, que ce soit travail du bois, le torchis et d'autres techniques spécifiques à la restauration de ces maisons. Mais également, bien sûr, de pouvoir transmettre ces savoir-faire à des personnes qui tout simplement ont une expérience ponctuelle, mais également avec l'espoir que certains puissent, pourquoi pas, envisager d'en faire leur métier. Et c'est quelque chose qui a, à mon avis, eu aussi un succès assez intéressant, imprévu. C'est que parmi les membres de la communauté, certains ont vu le potentiel économique lié en fait à cette activité spécifique de restauration des maisons anciennes. Donc, on a par exemple une équipe de constructeurs dans notre commune aujourd'hui qui réalise également des restaurations de maisons quand on fait un petit peu leur spécialité. Il y a également une autre personne qui a travaillé en tant que volontaire, qui est d'une commune aux alentours de Putna, qui a également créé une entreprise spécialisée dans la fabrication de bardeaux, donc ces couvertures spécifiques en bois, mais également de restauration de maisons entières. Donc voilà, l'idée, c'était, de faire venir la communauté vers ce type de projet pour comprendre l'intérêt de sauvegarder, de protéger ce patrimoine rural, et deux, également, de pouvoir faire en sorte que des personnes puissent acquérir des savoir-faire et surtout se rendre compte que la sauvegarde de ce patrimoine peut correspondre à également une activité économique très intéressante au niveau local.
Merci beaucoup, Pascal, pour ce témoignage qui vraiment témoigne de rôle que tu as joué dans le projet de Carmen. Puis vraiment, je suis très heureuse d'avoir eu cette surprise-là. Moi, je n'étais pas au courant que Pascal va intervenir. Puis je suis très, très contente, Carmen, que tu as préparé cette surprise-là et merci.